My guest this morning is Jai-Letacolvard. She is a proud board member of Loving Arms Cancer Outreach. She has been donating to this amazing nonprofit organization for over 5 years. Now, Jai-Leta is able to make a major impact to cancer survivors. Ms. Colvard is honored and blessed to serve the community while supporting cancer survivors. At Just J-Wear, the company Jai-Leta leads, we believe in embracing positive energy, love, feeling comfortable in the skin you are in and setting small health goals. We hope our gear will magnify your desire to be your best fit and resonate across the globe. We look forward to partnering with you on your health journey by providing comfortable and stylish fitness apparel that fits like a soft glove and loungewear for the holidays. Our clothes can be worn throughout the day, whether you are exercising, relaxing, or running errands. We are committed to encouraging, motivating, and inspiring the community to shape their life with fitness and good health in mind while spreading the word across the universe. We are going to be talking about fitness and health this morning. That's what caught my eye when the publicist sent over the press release about Jai-Leta. And so that's what we're going to be talking. So welcome to the Reading Circle microphones, Jai-Letacolvard. Jay, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for affording me the opportunity for the interview.
Well, thank you for rising early wherever you're. Where are you calling it from? I didn't know what part of the country.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, ATL, Hotlanta, one of my favorite southern cities. My mom, actually, she's up here this week. She'll be going back tomorrow. She lives down in Louisville, Georgia. So every time I go visit her, I make sure I make that 2.5-hour drive down to Hotlanta.
Where's Louisville? I'm not familiar.
Louisville is probably, and I don't know if it's either east or west of you, I'm not sure, but it's closer to the top of the state towards South Carolina. It's like 30 miles outside of Augusta.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, she's near the top of the state, so it's like I think I can get to South Carolina from where she is in about 45 minutes. So, yeah, she's up there by the Augusta side, but she's actually up visiting with me right now. But yeah, every time I go down to Louisville, I make sure it's like 2.5 hours away. Down 20 and 85 and all that down in there. I make sure I get down to Atlanta. So, all right, matter of fact, let me see. There's a restaurant. Was it Busy Bee? I think that's
the name. Everyone loves Busy Bee.
The Busy Bee Cafe, yes.
Correct.
Yes, indeed. So, yes, ATL, like I said, one of my favorite southern cities is ATL, mainly for the history because of Martin Luther King and the whole civil rights movement in Auburn and so forth and so on. That's one, and not to mention Morehouse and down there with the universities with Spelman and Clark and so forth and so on. So just, yes, indeed. Just one of my...
So many minority entrepreneurs.
Oh, you're...
Supporting each other, helping each other, empowering
yes.
each other, and connecting and collaborating, which is extremely important.
No, it really is. And it's funny you would say that. Because you said call you Jay, right? I'm good with Jay?
Yes. Please.
Okay. So, Jay, when I was in my 20s, I was there, and I went to one of the malls down there, and I had never been in a mall where just about every shop in there was either run or owned by African Americans.
So when was that? 2 years ago?
No, this is going back.
No, when you were in your 20s.
When I was in, you're right. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm with you. 2 years ago, you're right. But that's another reason it is one of my top cities, because when you go down there, and Jay is absolutely right, when you go down there, the shop owner, for those of us who are African Americans, or because I don't even use the word minorities, I just don't get into that. I'm not minority anything. But for those of us who are not in the dominant group, you actually see folks who look like you running things. And she is absolutely correct on that. And for the most part, they support each other, which is what you have to have happen, which she's absolutely correct. I am not, now that you say that, because I've been looking at your photo whenever I put the press release out and everything, and now that you say that, I'm not surprised you're down in Atlanta. Not surprised at all, because Atlanta, just like Hampton University, are known for good-looking women. So I'm not surprised at that at all. Now that you say, I didn't know that's where you were calling out of, but it makes perfect sense to me now. Okay, so let me start, because I didn't see anything in the press release about you being an author, and it doesn't matter one way or the other. Normally I interview authors, but I have interviewed folks who are not authors. Have you authored a book?
No, I have not, but I'm in the process of working on a grief journal to help people that's been going through depression and just help navigate. This will be just additional tool that they actually need to get out of quicksand, if that makes sense.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Because like I said, last year, I did many shows. I had a lot of guest authors who were dealing with mental health issues, depression, grief. I had because it was a major. It still is a major topic for me because I've dealt with it even on a personal level in terms of family members. I've had family members who have struggled and suffered with mental illnesses and depressions and so forth and so on. So I see the destruction it can cause. And so, like I said, whenever your publicity folks sent me the email, that's what leaped out at me when it said bouncing back from mental health crisis. Oh, yes, I definitely want to talk to her. So it is big. And so all right, look, I kind of like rolled the tape back a little bit in terms of where did it all begin? How did you kind of get into this and go down this path?
Yeah, thank you for asking. A few years ago, my grandfather passed away. True enough, he was 103 and maybe 2 weeks before his birthday. And he was the glue that kept us together, the entire family. I recall when I was about 4 years old, he had a cottage, his sister had a cottage, and his brother. So we all, the entire families went to the cottages every summer. He was one of the first tool and die makers of Ford. He also was one of the first black distributors of Ebony and Essence magazine in Detroit. And he was that leader. He was that entrepreneur. He was one of the most selfless individuals. And it just literally broke my heart. And then shortly thereafter, my best friend from high school, she tragically passed. This may be a slightly graphic, but you understand why. She went on a trip with her new boyfriend, and she was on an ATV, and it flipped over and crushed her body. I can't even make this up.
Wow.
Then shortly thereafter, my grandmother passed. So I kept falling deeper and deeper and deeper in quicksand. I was so depressed. And as a result, my mom saw the dramatic decline and my cousin, so they had to seek professional help. So I want to be honest with you. The first medical facility I went to was absolutely awful. But I was trying to explain to my mom that the experiences that I was having, but she just didn't know if it was reality or not reality because I was just going through so much in addition to being on medication. So after 2 months of listening to me, she found another mental health facility, and it's called Torrent Counseling and Recovery. They literally saved my life. And I say that in the sense, in addition to my cousin and my mom, but you need professional assistance when you're going through depression. I literally work with 5 therapists, a trauma specialist. I work with my nurse for the medication, and I work with a neurologist. I work with a nutritionist and a personal trainer. So they literally work you from the inside out for 90 days. Them locking arms with me, that was the best thing that ever could have happened to me, or I wouldn't even be on this line today.
And you know what the thing is, and the key part of this thing is at least you recognize, or someone recognized, to get help, because there are so many people who are struggling with mental health issues or depression or whatever, and they don't seek help, and therein lies the issue. I read something this morning when I kicked the show off, and maybe I'll read it again now that I'm talking to you. I kicked the show off each Saturday morning reading from a book by Iyanla Vanzant, and it's called Until Today. And the reading for this morning dealt with this whole notion of not expressing your feelings. And she says here for the 29th, I will gain more understanding when I realize trying to hide what I feel does not work. An unexpressed feeling is like a rubber band being stretched to its limit. The longer you hold on to the feeling, the more the tension grows. Eventually, something has to give, or the rubber band is going to snap. When that happens, someone is going to get hurt. Now, I'm not going to read the whole passage, but that's the first paragraph, the first couple lines. And so it's interesting that that came up for today, and it's happened to me before, and we're having this discussion, because I'm saying all that to say, somewhere along your path, you or somebody recognized, I have to get some professional help here. And so many people don't do that, and that's why we're in kind of like the shape that we're in.
Well, it's a pattern, right? So it's a pattern that people see. If I'm a socialite, and true enough, it was during the pandemic, so you couldn't get out. But overall, I'm a socialite. I connect with so many people, and people see a dramatic decline of that and change of my clothing, change of don't want to get outside my room. I don't want to eat. I'm not hungry. So you see a pattern of a decline. Then my mom, I'm glad that she did, because I didn't see it. They saw something in me that I didn't see. I know I was depressed, but I did not know I was depressed to that magnitude that I needed professional assistance.
And see, therein lies the issue, because a lot of times, now you said you didn't see, but at least, I'm going to say it again, I'm grateful listening to you that somebody else saw it. Because see, in my particular case, I didn't see it. I missed it. And the person, just as Iyanla talked about, snapped. And it was a really bad snap. To the point where it ruined a lot of things. And mental illness and depression, it can do that, especially if the person does not seek assistance. And the thing is, you could look like nothing's wrong with you. You can look like everything is fine.
I did that for an entire year and a half.
See, that's my point. I mean, I think Robin, now I don't know if Robin Williams said this, but they attribute the quote to him. Because I always see his picture with the meme, with the quote. And what the quote says is, people who are depressed are not faking being sick. And I'm paraphrasing it. They're faking being well.
That's a powerful statement, and it's true.
And so
you want to, in your mind, when you're not feeling well, a lot of it's meant in your mind, you want to be well. So you try to say that you are well, but in actuality, you're not.
You're right. To see, but therein lies the issue.
You have a negative day. It's like people say, don't be negative, and you're having a bad day. So you think about being positive, but still, it's something negative happening, but you try to reverse it.
Right. And see, this is the thing. Like I said, when you're dealing with someone with depression or mental illness, that is not like if you had a cut or something that's physical that somebody can see. It can be hidden, but the thing is, while it is being hidden, it is steady building up. Just as Iyanla says in there, it's like that rubber band, that stretched rubber band with the tension to the point where it finally gets to, if you don't get some help, that it breaks. And when it breaks, Iyanla was absolutely right. Somebody's going to get hurt. And it's going to be more than one somebody, to be honest with you. So, again, your folks had the wherewithal to recognize it, see it, and then coach you or encourage you to get some help. Now, there's a second piece to this, too, because sometimes people will see it, and the person will not go get the help. They'll say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, I'm fine. And they won't go get the help.
But sometimes you need to be threatened to get the help. If you don't go, I'm going to put you in this facility. So that was one of the scariest things, to be taken away. And then I had to visualize that I would be taken away and only be drugged up, and I would never get out. You know how you see so many movies on what it looks like? I'm like, oh, no, that can't be me. So I agreed to be admitted in the day program. So that's where it all started, 9 to 5. I knew I came home. I was able to come home and, at least in my mind, have a safe space after I left there.
So the thing is, as I'm listening to you, and I've read so many books, because again, I have family members that we've dealt with mental health issues on. I mean, very close family. And the thing is, this is the other thing is, it's a hard sell for people. Whenever someone snaps or whenever they go through a mental health crisis, they really don't have control over what they're doing. Even though it looks like they may, they really don't. And it's a hard sell for folks whenever you're trying to tell people they really didn't have any control over that. And people are like, yes, they did. They knew what they were doing. Like, no, they really did not. And so, again, it's something that is relatively easy to hide. That you could, because there's functional. You could be dealing with mental health issues and still be functional. Still go to work, still go to church, still see friends every now and again, whatever. You can still be functional. See, that's what makes it so hard to detect.
Exactly.
So, and I'm seeing
people who really know you. They know something is actually happening. Just individuals I used to talk to on a daily basis, a weekly basis, they didn't speak to me for 6 months. they were begging and pleading and calling and saying they'll come by my house. They don't want to impose. At that point, I had to move with my mom because I needed to have that type of care. And I was living by myself for many years. So when I say to people who's ever listening right now is that it's okay to be depressed because we all have issues, whether they're tragic or even small to some, but they're huge to you in your life that will cause depression. But when you are depressed beyond a week, I strongly recommend seek help. I'm not necessarily saying it's professional, but someone who truly cares about you, let them know. Because there's various degrees of depression, and you don't want it to elevate like I did.
So we were talking earlier about down in Atlanta, about how, for the most part, African-American city, the entrepreneurs, so forth and so on. How much of a factor is it? Because we kind of have, as African-Americans, we don't really kind of trust doctors and systems and all that kind of stuff. How much does being African-American and having our stigma and history cause us not to seek help? Because a lot of times, folks will, black people will say, oh, I'm not going to no therapist. I'm not going to no psychologist. I ain't crazy. That's a white man thing. That's white folks thing. How much of that comes into play?
Well, actually, if you would ask me that question 20 years ago, I would have said that it truly comes into play, I want to say 60 to 70% of the time. But now, since I want to say renowned people, professionals, actors, and people that's on the forefront, influencers, are coming out and being honest about what they're feeling, and they have actually sought professional help, people are more comfortable to actually share. So which hence is one of the reasons why I'm sharing. At first I was, wanted to keep it within my immediate circle. But I said, you know what, I need to help other people because this is not a Jai-Leta thing. This is not a me thing. This is not a black girl thing. This is a people thing. And if I could touch one can touch another, and it can go on and on, the domino effect, because we have to pull each other out of this quicksand.
I could not agree with you more. And again, I keep reiterating, I've seen the victims of it, and it seems like what I noticed, and I could be wrong, and you're right, I think a lot of more people will come, but I personally believe COVID exacerbated it. I think anybody who had any underlying issues or anything going into COVID, I think going into that isolation and that fear and everything else, not knowing what was going to happen, I think COVID, that whole pandemic, exacerbated the whole mental health crisis.
I completely agree with you, considering the fact I was a socialite and I felt like I was closed in as well. So many things that were actually going in my mind. When am I going to get out? So there was a point I was closed in, and then there was a point I was comfortable being closed in. I was comfortable being in my room. I was comfortable being in the dark. And that is totally not like me. I love to walk. I love to be engaged. I love to inspire. I love to be inspired by people. And to have all that yanked away from me, and including the tragic death, it was just terrifying.
Yeah, it is, and because that's a heck of a combination. And again, I know folks who were traumatized or were suffering from childhood traumas or what have you. And like I said, COVID brought all that to a head. Being trapped in the house, all of that, not being able to socialize, not being able to see friends coming over, or either you going to a friend's house, caused folks to snap. The mental health in terms of suicide rates and depression and everything skyrocketed, and understandably so. Because again, I hated the pandemic with a passion, because I'm used to going out as well. And as I said, whenever we were on our 5-minute call prior, I'm a school principal. We had to do school online, on virtual. And I mean, virtual was great, but there's nothing like being in person. And I still feel that way. I like the computer. I mean, the fact that we had the technology and can do that was wonderful. But to me,
you compare the impact. You make more of an impact with children in person. You can look into their eyes. You can see how they feel. They can tell you anything over the phone. You can't really truly see someone see what's going on, especially without looking at them.
That's right. That's why I loved in your bio when we were talking about your company, and we're going to get to that as well, where you says We believe in embracing positive energy, love, feeling comfortable in the skin you are in. That's big, because I'm big on energy. I'm big on vibes. I'm big on positivity. And so the fact that you even have that as a part of your mission in your company is big. That it really is. And so when you cannot be in the physical energy of people, it does make a difference. It's one thing to be, looking at each other on a computer screen. It's another thing to be live and in their presence.
And when I say comfortable in the skin you're in, one of the reasons why I started my line is because I wanted to create a product which resolved a problem. The problem, especially with women, is our stomachs. So I wanted to it started out with creating leggings that provided tummy control and butter soft and vibrant colors because I wanted them to feel good. I wanted them to look good while they're in the gym, because if you have all of these things combined, you'll get better results. If you throw on an old wrinkled T-shirt and some raggy shorts and you just go out and go to the gym, you will not get the results if you have a product that supports you, feels good, and you look good. You will get the results over time if you stay focused on your goals.
That's interesting. You're connecting the gear or the outerwear or the clothing to, working out what you're doing in terms of your feeling. Because one of the things, whenever I was in the military, in the Air Force, one of the chants we had was look sharp, feel sharp, we are sharp, sir. And that's what the drill sergeant would have us yell out, look sharp, feel sharp, we are sharp, sir. And I do that with my school because I run an all-boys school. I lead an all-boys leadership school, and every now and again I will have them recite that for me. Look sharp, feel sharp, we are sharp, sir. And there is a connection between what you have on, how you're feeling, and how you produce. Yesterday, I had to go, and I was sharing this earlier before you came on. I had to go to the AT&T store to return my mother's phone. And she's been here all week, and I hadn't made it to the store. But yesterday, because I had gone to a funeral, I was actually in a suit and tie. So I decided to take the phone yesterday. And part of that, the reason in my mind was I know I'm going to get a different type of service, me walking in a suit and tie, than me walking in a pair of shorts and a T-shirt. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Like when I go to the airport, if I'm in a suit or whatever and I'm getting on a plane, I am treated totally different than if I'm in, like I said, my casual clothing. So I get it in terms of mindset, in terms of everything, whenever you're dressed appropriately for what it is that you're doing and how it can impact what you get out. And so that's, to me, what you just said, that's extremely important. So how did you even think about coming up with a clothing line?
Because I've been in fashion ever since I've been a little girl. My father and my stepfather used to dress me, and then as I moved on to high school, I used to be an image consultant without actually saying. For my friends, they would call and say, what I need to wear, I'm going to this event. So I used to do that already. And then professionally, I used to be an image consultant for professional players, NFL players. So moving forward, then I joined this company. They focus on health and wellness. That's where basically everything got started. So they would ask me, what am I wearing? So I would mention this other brand, hence is one of my competitors now. And I said, you know what? I want to create something that I can empower women, that I want to help women get healthy, live a healthier lifestyle, be more active, and I want it to be a part of me and what I promote. And while I'm doing that, I want to assist breast cancer survivors. So a portion of the proceeds will go to that organization called Loving Arms Cancer Outreach, and that's where it initiated. Now, every year I'll have a pink line, and that initiative would support them because, one, I knew where the money was going. So that was so important for me. And it actually goes to cancer survivors. They give them $500 a year, and for their essential needs. People forget about that part. They need to get to the doctor. They need to get food. They need transportation and all the other things that they need to survive while they're on their journey. So that's why I connected with them. So when it has a connection, it means more than wearing cloth.
Oh, absolutely. Because, all right, what I'm hearing from you is, okay, you've suffered in terms of dealing with the depression, but you're also looking, though, even though you're having your struggles or your issues are working through, but you're looking to help somebody else who's struggling with something.
Correct. So then that was the initial start when I started 2017. So after going through depression, I added another initiative was, of course, depression. So now I'm a breast cancer awareness advocate and a mental health awareness advocate. So I have two initiatives with my company.
And that is great, because that's how really, as we move forward and we pass along, that's how we move. That's how we pay it forward. Because as we come out of struggles, and it's really, it is really beyond commendable, because they say one way to get through whatever you're going through is to help somebody else get through what they're going through.
Correct.
So you don't put the focus on yourself, you're actually putting the focus on someone else. Listening audience, if you just joined us, my guest this morning is Jai-Letacolvard, and we're talking about multiple issues dealing with health, physical health and mental health. They, believe it or not, the two do go together. I don't think, a lot of times people try to separate them, but the truth of the matter is mental and physical go together. Your physical does what the mental tells you. So we're talking about it, and I noticed here that the way we talked about whenever I was meeting with the press folks is the interview topic was bouncing back from a mental health crisis. A lot of times, Jay, as you probably know, people think that you cannot bounce back when you're dealing with mental issues, and yet this is saying you can, and I heard you say you can. Talk a little bit about that, coming out of it, coming back from it.
Well, coming back from it, it was a process. For starters, it was a 90-day process. At first, I was in denial for the first 30 days. So, but after connecting with the individuals that was in there, I would say they're just like me, but not just like me. We all had different issues, but bottom line, we had issues. So we were collectively sharing what we're actually going through, and then from different perspectives, how we can help each other as a group, and then you have individual work with an individual therapist. And within 60 days, I was able to, within the 60 days, I was successful in using the tools that they provided to actually deal with depression. One, breathing technique. Two is actually, it's by a company called Essence, and it's a nose diffuser. So it's like you put it in your nose, and within 8 hours, either it's lavender or eucalyptus, and it brings you down. It's one of the best $5 gifts that you will ever receive. And then just working with the right individuals, you know what your triggers are. Understanding, for starters, what your triggers are. So one, you know how to deal with those particular triggers and don't immediately elevate to the top. And then going towards the last 30 days is going to the mental health, going to Torrance Counseling and Recovery for 9 to 12, and then gradually going back to work from 12 to 5. So it's an entire process, but working with the professionals to do that, and then having that support system, and then spending time with your family over the weekend. And for them, what's key is just listening. Sometimes you just need somebody to listen. You don't have to make comments, or you don't have to judge anybody. Just listen, because you just want to get the words out. You feel what you feel. Nobody can tell you how to feel, or you shouldn't feel this way. You felt this way because of the circumstances that you were in at the time.
Correct. So in terms of, as we're talking mental health, one of the reasons I know for a fact, like I said, it's definitely race, history, ethnicity will impact it, but also across the board, regardless of race, you have the stigma of immediately whenever folks find out or think you're struggling with mental health, that they immediately label you as quote unquote crazy. And no one wants to be judged that way, or they don't want that stigma of being thought of as crazy. That's another reason folks don't seek help either, because they don't want anyone to think because I'm going to a psychologist or a therapist that I'm quote unquote crazy. What about this? I mean, talk a little bit about, or what do you know in terms of the stigma of dealing with mental health issues, in terms of judgment and what other people think? Because you're saying, I'm sharing my story that even if I touch one, I will have done well. A lot of people are not willing to share because they don't want to be thought of as crazy.
Well, and that's a valid point. because I was walking around for a year and a half and just falling in a deep hole because was so concerned about what people think. So what I say to you is that people, whether you're doing well or whether you're doing bad, not so well, people going to talk about you either way it go. So, if you're the topic of discussion, that's fine. At least you know you're being thought of, because that's the thing. We want people to think about you. So if there is something going on, somebody will say something. So I'm not concerned what people are going to say about me, because I know my faith, I know who I serve, I know who are my family, I know who's out for my best interest, and that's what you need to be concerned about, not what outsiders say, because they're going to talk as much as you let them talk, and then and you're going to listen as much as you want to. There's social media that makes the situation worse, and sometimes that makes it better. It all depends on what you tune to, who you listen to. So be very mindful, hence I'm using the word mind. Be very mindful who you listen to, who you follow, and see if that's positive or negative, and ask yourself the question: is this particular individual benefiting me too, and also am I benefiting them? So it's basically should be every relationship that you have, even with your faith, it's reciprocal. You're giving back to who you serve, and they are serving you. Family, friends, associates in business, it cannot be a take, because they're going to pull everything away from you, and you have nothing to give. Then you have nothing in your cup, and guess what? You're going to fall in a deep hole.
Absolutely. And one of the topics that we have is the transformative impact of grief. What is that all about?
Well, I turned the grief that I was in to basically a company, a nonprofit, Space of Grace. So basically, Space of Grace is a vehicle to help people deal with mental health awareness and provide financial assistance for mental health awareness. So when I say that, I have partnered with Torn Counseling and Recovery, and I have a 90-day program called the GRACE Program, and it's going to give you invaluable resources, and also it's going to provide assistance for you to seek mental health and help as far as alleviating with any financial burdens, and also provide financial literacy. So how it works is this. You go to spaceofgrace365.org, and you complete the form if you need help. And then we would come, we meaning my board, would evaluate to see if that person would be a good fit for the program. Of course, if they would need to be in Atlanta or come to Atlanta for 90 days if they're approved. And then we have them go to Torn Counseling and Recovery to be evaluated. And if that's a candidate and they need financial assistance, we will help with the financial assistance. And one of the things, we're making a commitment. This is a voluntary program, so you can be in the program. Hopefully what our goal is the person stay through the program for 90 days. Regardless how many days you're in the program, everything is on us, because us meaning Space of Grace, because we're committed to you. And we want you to be successful. We want you to see the other side, because I've seen the other side. So I'm committed to helping every individual I can, and I'm just thankful that I'm partnering with Torn Counseling and Recovery to be responsible in doing that.
So Space of Grace and Just Jay, they're two different things, or they support each other?
Correct. Well, Just Jay Wear is my stylish fitness apparel line and empower women and breast cancer survivors. Now, Space of Grace, INC, is my nonprofit that Just Jay Wear supports. It's a nonprofit specifically to provide assistance, financial assistance for those dealing with mental health and financial literacy to go through the 90-day program at Torn Counseling and Recovery in Atlanta, Georgia.
And so again, earlier I was saying how the mental and the physical goes together. A lot of people really don't understand. I've known people, again, family members who always had some type of physical ailment going on because, and I believe the various physical ailments was driven by the mental health challenges. So, yeah, go ahead.
So that's why even at Torn Counseling Recovery, when I say you have a personal trainer, you are working out 3 times a week. If you are not exercising, and everybody has different levels of how they can exercise, they're going to investigate why. Hence, that's why I have a nurse. I had a neurologist, too. So it's a collaborative effort of various resources to work you from the inside out. It's just not, mental health is not just silo. It's a whole totality of what's going on in your body.
Absolutely, because I thankfully have not suffered to that degree in terms of depression and mental, but it's my understanding that you get into this dark place, or this place that you can't pull yourself out of even if you want to. See, that's why when people start blaming people that are struggling with depression or whatever, they really don't understand. Do you think somebody wants to feel that way? Do you think somebody wants it? They're trying to get out of it and can't.
Exactly. And then you sometimes don't even realize they're in it. And some people are telling them they're in it, and they're in denial.
Correct.
So there's no one that wants to feel depressed and feel horrible. There's no one wants to be in that position. There's circumstances that happen in their life, whether they're early in life and they just hit them for so long, and then it's explosive 20, 30 years later, or it's just something that tragically happens in a short period of time. So everybody has different triggers.
Correct.
Everyone has different triggers.
A lot of people get sadness and depression mixed up. Matter of fact, they'll use the terms interchangeably. But being depressed is not the same thing as just being sad.
Correct.
And yet people get it, because a lot of one thing after an experience I've gone through is, one thing I will never ever say to anybody, if I can help it again, is just get over it. Because that's what folks will say to somebody who is struggling with depression. Oh, just get over it. Oh, make yourself happy. Oh, think positive. Oh, just it's not that simple.
Correct. And let me tell you why. I don't even say just get over it. I said you are going to get through it. Because each day you're not getting over it, you're going to go through it. So it's basically, how can you navigate in life going through the challenges that you currently have, or the triggers that you currently have. One is getting the tools to help you. Everybody has different tools in their toolbox to actually help them. Yoga sometimes relaxes people. Just taking a moment, just being in silence, or just even getting in your car before you even start it. Pray. Everybody has the tools to bring them down and just give them that synergy, or just center them before they go with their day or before they go into a meeting, but finding out what the resources are that work for you, and you repeat them.
No, because, see, this is where it can lead to, because we're talking mental health, I will bring up some examples. I'm trying to think of the beauty queen, the contestant, the girl that leaped off of the 66-story building a year or so ago. Had everything going for her. The looks, the job, the money.
Exactly.
She had everything. And yet, she jumped off of a 66-plus story building because in her mind, 30 was it. That if she turned 30, her life, everything was over. The Anthony Bourdain, he was the host of the food show. He was another one. Robin Williams, he was another one. So it really doesn't matter what material things you have, what fortune or fame you have. If you get caught up in that web, it starts taking you down a destructive path.
Exactly. And it's like, I want to say, when I say seek a therapist, I went through 5 therapists. Let me tell you, you have to find a therapist, the one that's effective, the one that connects with you, the one that's not just writing down notes and never giving you the contact, or the one that once you share the information, the next session they remember what you shared. And it's not, I told you that last time. I told you have to find someone that you connect with. Once you find the one you connect with, stay with that person, because it may not be the first, the second, or third therapist. Just find that one and keep trying. And if you can't do it, if you can't look it up, one of your close family members or friends can do this for you. But I was looking, and then I could not find it, and that's why my mom stepped in and just found a place for me to go. And it was it was just awful as far as it was a worse experience trying to talk to individuals and you just was a number. So I get that. But have an advocate for you, fighting for you, because sometimes you can't fight for yourself. But you need somebody you're going to connect with, or you're going to, there's a possibility that your health is going to degrade.
Oh, absolutely. And you brought up an extremely important point, and that is get a therapist who you can work with. And oftentimes that doesn't happen on the first shot.
No, it does not.
You really do have to go through one or two or three or more to get that fit, because every therapist and patient is not necessarily a good fit for each other. And that's an extremely critical point, because many folks, whenever they're going down this road, just think the first person that they come up with, they have to stay with.
Oh, no, I don't have the benefits. I can't afford it. If you can afford all these other things, all this luxury, going out to eat, you can afford saving your life. You can put that off. You can eat at home. Make time. You make time for other things, but your health is priority. You can't even have any of these other things if it wasn't for your health.
That's absolutely right.
Your health first, and everything else is after.
Absolutely. I know here last year I saw an article that in New Jersey, the therapists, all of them were overbooked. We didn't have enough therapists at this point, because you had to book so far in advance because they had so many patients now. Like I said, COVID to me exacerbated the mental health thing. And the beauty queen I was talking about was Chesley Christ. And I'm looking here, it says, a beauty queen, an attorney, a TV star, whose suicide was a reminder of a troubling uptick in mental health struggles among women and in the black community. Everyone who knew her said that Chesley Christ was radiant. See, again, like I said, you can be functional and you can hide it.
Right. I was in a state of shock when I saw that.
I was too.
Disbelief.
I was the same. Whenever I pulled up the article and I saw the picture and I knew who she was and everything, like it was, I was like, people literally would kill to have what she had. And yet that was not enough to keep her, because she was struggling with a mental health issue that no one knew about. All of the interviews from the folks on television, on NBC, on the show that she was on, the Entertainment Tonight, or whichever one of them she was on, all of them said, we had no clue. We had no idea.
She was great at masking. I mean, and I was too at first, but you only can mask. Well, they didn't know because they weren't her immediate circle.
Right.
Your immediate circle knew. So we don't know how much help that she was receiving from her immediate circle. And, even they can help you, but if you're not willing to help yourself, that's a whole nother conversation. But her immediate circle, they saw some indication, and I'm sure they tried their very best to help her. And it's tough. It's tough. I'm just glad I made it to the other side.
I know, that's right. Wendy Williams, she's another one that suffered and pretty much broke down and everything. Wendy Williams was another one, had it all, and started. So my point in sharing with these various famous names, if you will, right, it does not discriminate. It holds no respect of person. You could have all the accoutrements and all of the money and the fame and everything you want and still wind up struggling mentally.
Correct. Correct.
Now,
no color, no status. It happens because it happens to what? People. Really.
Correct. So now, how much does it happen the other way around in terms of, because I said, me personally, I believe the mental drives the physical. But what happens whenever you now become ill with whatever, whether it's diabetes, whether it's cancer, whether it's high blood pressure, heart disease, whatever. What happens now when you're struggling with a physical illness, and now that physical illness takes you down into depression?
And that happens quite often, especially as one that's not curable, especially it's one that impacts your entire life. You used to be able to run. Now you have issues with your legs. You can't even move. You're in a wheelchair. It so much goes in your mind. So, and that's depressing, So it's most definitely a person needs to see a therapist because they have to change their mindset. Not have to. Well, in order to survive and be healthy, changing your mindset is critical in doing that and working with a therapist to do that, because these individuals may no longer, be able to do the things they used to do
Absolutely.
because of the health ailment.
And again, that's another experience I've had with family members as well. I mean, I won't name out who the family members are, so as they say, they should remain nameless to protect the guilty. But I've had that experience as well within the family, that they became ill and they no longer could do what they used to do. And yes, it does drive a depression. And you're absolutely right, because see, this gets down to acceptance. I, based on my illness, based on, my legs or my whatever, I can't do what I used to do. And I think that's where kind of like the frustration gap comes in. You want to do what it is you used to do, but you no longer can. And because of that, it could drive, because I had a conversation the other day. I said, now look, I know your mind is willing. I know your heart is willing. I know your spirit is willing, but your body is not. And at the end of the day, the body's going to win. The body's going to win that battle between the spirit, the heart, the mind, because it will no longer do what it is you used to could do and you want it to do. It's no longer doing that. So the frustration from that is what's driving your depression.
Exactly, but can I add one thing?
Sure, please.
I know what helps is what you eat. You are what you eat. You're 80% of what you eat, and the other 20% is exercise. So, and I just mentioned this, on my birthday, which was July 18th, I signed my first
happy birthday.
Thank you. I signed my first brand partnership. It's with Arden's Garden, and they are a cold press juicing company. And I partnered with them because their mission is to help people feel good, help people look good through the appropriate nutrition from fruits and vegetables. My grandfather lived to 103 because he went to the farmer's market every week, got fruits and vegetables, and that is the proper fuel for your body. So to live a more healthier lifestyle, I strongly recommend that. And various fruits and various vegetables. Like, I have an issue with my knee. I have arthritis light arthritis in my knee. I know beets are great for my joints. I make sure I drink beet juice instead of taking all this medication, which is going to cause another issue later. So we, as being in the community, is to take full advantage of the nutrients that's in fruits and vegetables, and instead of taking all this medication. You think it's a quick fix, but from long term, it's going to impact something else.
Correct. You're absolutely right. I have a question that came through on our text site. It says, do you intend to do anything in terms of your clothing line for men?
Actually, several people have asked me, and yes, I do. Within no more than 2 years, I'm about to launch a product in a couple of months, and I'm praying that it goes in the direction that we made the projections, and I will offer it for men. So thank you for asking.
All right. Now, just like that, listener, if you want to text a question to me, you can text it to 973-720-2738. If you text me that number, put that number in your text bar and text your question to me. You can do that if you have a question for Jai-Leta. Text it to me just like I just asked that question. I'll ask your question as well. That number is 973-720-2738. Because the second part of that question, which I don't think the person at that point had seen your website, and it looks like, because I sent it to the person after the question came up, full-figured women. Now, I saw the website. It looks like you did have a line or a set of clothing for full-figured women.
My sizes go up from small to 2X, and small to 2X. I have the polo shirts. I recently launched my golf line, and it's just Jai-Wear, and I have a Sweat Pretty collection. So the logo will have Sweat Pretty. That seemed to be more popular than my Just Jai-Wear logo. So I'm excited about that. But the polos are 2X, and some of the leggings are 2X. So I just wanted to make sure I accommodated us, our curvy overall.
Correct.
Are curvy. So making sure I do that. And then in addition to that, I just launched my tennis line. So what I say to people, we sweat pretty in the city. So the goal is to go to different cities and just have different Sweat Pretty fitness events, because we want to share the health education and the fitness activity and shop. So that's what we're doing. And then I have great hopes to do Sweat Pretty in the city, golf clinics, yoga events at HBCUs. So that's one of my goals going into the year, at least one this year, and then several next year. So I'm excited about the plans that I actually have. So I'm looking forward to it.
I know that's right. We're coming down to the last few minutes of the interview, but however, you just said something that touched off another question in terms of your line being where formerly, traditionally, we're not, but we are, especially since Tiger Woods and Serena and Venus, and that was in golf and tennis. And so I noticed you did a golf line and a tennis line because African Americans need to understand. Now, golf is not my thing. It's not. I play racquetball, I ride bikes, I play softball, so forth. Golf is just not my thing. However, traditionally and historically, for the most part, African Americans did not golf or play tennis, or we were kept out of it for whatever year. And then Tiger Woods came through, as well as the Williams sisters, and our presence pretty much overtook the two sports. So I see that you came up with a clothing line for golf and tennis. Was that intentional, or why did you select those two?
It was intentional. I used to play tennis until I tore my Achilles. So I always said I was going to do a tennis line, and actually I call it Love. And I just had to wait until I found the right fabric and the right design. Golf, I started playing golf, took a couple clinics, have a coach. So I wanted to, every activity that I'm a part of, I want to have my own fitness line. And that was another place I said, I know that women wanted tummy control, so it's high-waist skirts and polo shirts, just making sure from the etiquette perspective we do have that. And then we have fun tops. Some ladies love to wear it out as an outfit out and about, and then some want to wear it on the court, on the golf course with polos. But I wanted the people to feel comfortable and colorful, and I wanted to represent the Sweat Pretty brand.
I know that's right. Well, I tell you what, like I told you, I told my female friend, listen, order something from this company. And the person that sent me the text said, oh, great looking clothing line. I am forwarding the website to others, which brings us down to, because the website, I'm going to give it, but I'm going to let Jay really promote in a couple of minutes, but it's justjaiwear.com, JustJaiwear.com, all connected. And I'm going to let her talk about that in a couple of minutes, but it's www.justjaiwear.com. And it is a fine look. I was going through the website through the week, and I said, these are some bad clothes. I mean, yeah, they look good. I could see working out in that. And so at this point in the program, Jay, this is what I do. I turn the mic off, and I allow my guests to promote. You can say anything with the exception of a dollar amount. You can't get into what pricing and all that it is, but anything short of that, how folks can get in touch with you, your websites, the clothing line, the nonprofits, your business, any of that is free game right now. The only thing you cannot say is a dollar sign. But other than that, I'm going to shut the mic off, and it's yours to promote as much as you like.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you again for affording me the opportunity to be on. And I'll start with my stylish fitness apparel. He mentioned justjaiwear.com. I'll just repeat it again, JustJaiwear.com. And also on Instagram, you can find us on justjwear. Then, in addition to that, I wanted to share that we were also featured in the hip-hop edition of Essence magazine this month. I was also featured in Essence as being one of the top 10 fitness apparel. In addition to that, I was featured in Macy's in Atlanta, LA, and San Francisco, and various celebrities have worn my apparel, so I'm blessed and excited about that. So make sure you stop by and find something for a family, a friend, a sister, a mom, and we have all colors. And as I mentioned, it's tummy control, butter soft, high waist, all the things that we need to be successful in reaching our health goals. And then last is Space of Grace. Space of Grace INC is my nonprofit to support mental health awareness, provide financial literacy and financial support through a 90-day program called the Grace Program in partnership with Torn Counseling and Recovery in Atlanta, Georgia. You can find us at Space of Grace the number 365.org. Make sure you complete the information so you can get our latest updates, and we can contact you if you are interested or if you know someone that's interested. And last, I just want to leave that it's okay to be depressed, but if you find yourself falling into a deep depression, or if you find someone falling into a deep depression, reach out to immediate family, one of their friends, someone that can actually help them and monitor them and just see where it goes, but making sure that you have the resources and you can connect them with the resources to be successful on their mental health journey. It's not easy. I go to my mental health alumni every month because I want to reconnect with the individuals that made it through. Everybody didn't make it through. My niece didn't make it through.
Wow.
My good friend that passed away day before my birthday did not make it through. I can go on and on, but you want to see them through, and you want to help them through. You want to hold their hand through, and they need you. All we need is one, and that one is you.
All right. Well, I thank you so much. That last note about everyone not making it through was pointing at was something. And the reality is everybody doesn't make it through. And so for everyone who does, we are grateful and thankful for those of you who do. And Jay, your efforts for the cancer as well as the depression and the fitness and all that, I applaud you. And especially as an African-American female that's out there doing it in terms of running a business and doing your day job, as we call it, and everything else. I salute you and congratulate you. And I had all daughters, so I'm going to make sure I send them your website. And the one that I was telling you about before we went on the air, she's like a little fitness geek, so I know she's going to love it. I'm going to tell her, listen, go get on there and order something from here. So,
thank you. And one other thing can I share for
sure.
entrepreneurs, because I didn't touch on that, and that's very important. If you are passionate about something and you don't have the finances to move forward with it, I say to you, stay working your 9 to 5 and literally think of, it's a mind shift. Your 9 to 5 is your investor for your passion.
Wow.
So pour some of the monies from your 9 to 5, hence your investor, into your passion. And to start small with your passion, and it will continuously grow. You just double that. Whatever you find that's going well within your passion, just double that. And once people see that you have made your own investment in your passion, they will invest in you.
You know, oftentimes my guests will say something that I will post on Facebook and tag it to them, and that quote that you just made, I am putting on my Facebook page. Your 9 to 5 is your investor in your passion. Did I get it right?
Correct.
Your 9 to 5 is your investor in your passion. I'm going to tag that in my Facebook page and put put it in quotes and put your name under it. I love it.
Thank you.
That's absolutely right. Your 9 to 5, never thought of it that way. That is a different mindset. Your 9 to 5 is your investor in your passion. Love it. I'm going to put that on my Facebook page. I'm going to send your website out to females that I know. And again, I thank you so much for everything that you're doing. And I will be in touch. I'm going to record it. It's recorded. So I will send you the links or send the publishing company, either way or both ways. And then once you get the links, you are free to do whatever you'd like with them.
Okay, thank you. It's been amazing. I truly appreciate the interview, so I hope to help someone.
I'm sure you did. If you didn't help nobody, you helped me. I always tell people all the time, I don't know how many folks listen to the show, but if nobody else is blessed by it, I can say each Saturday morning I am, so I know at least one.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. You have a great day, and I'll be in touch with you.
Okay.
All right.
You.
Take care.